pull up a chair. This is Off the Back Porch. Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer is brought to you in part by Country Village Sporting Goods. Everything you need to get in the woods, the water, or to the camp is at Country Village Sporting Goods. Jason Hardy State Farm. Like a good neighbor, Jason Hardy at State Farm is there. And Larry's Pizza in El Dorado, home of the Double Pizza Parade.
20 plus years of bringing you the most important and latest information with local happenings, news, sports, opinions, and probably an attempt at humor. Also brought to you in part by Davis Farms Country Market. For farm to table fresh, it's Davis Farms Country Market. Cook's Body Shop. Chances are it will happen. And when it does, look to Cook's. Murphy Arts District. For the latest information on concerts and events, go to eldomad.com.
Recorded live from Main Street Pizza in historic, beautiful downtown El Dorado, Arkansas. With a history of being the voices you trust. This is Off the Back Porch with Boomer and Sandy. Or Sandy and Boomer. Or two old guys you've known for a long time, whatever. And now your hosts, Troy, Boomer, Barrios, and B.A. Sandy Sanford.
And welcome for another edition of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer. And I promised it to you, and it's going to be a little different podcast today, Boomer.
Yeah, we're looking forward to who we have today, and it's going to be the whole podcast today.
Yeah, so I'd like to introduce our audience to Chris Plants. And Chris, first of all, it's great to have you here.
No, thank you for having me here, man. El Dorado, that's the buckle of the Bible belt, brother. I'm here, man. I love it, dude.
Well, now let's start there.
Yeah.
You actually lived here at one point.
I did. First regular. I was in the Army. One of those goes to college a little bit later in life. I served overseas, was in combat. But come back later, I didn't have the money out of high school to go to college, even though, the proverbial guidance counselor says, man, you made a great ACT score, Chris. I think you can do it. I said, I don't know what I'm going to buy a hamburger on because I ain't got no money. A little town of Cotton Valley, and I'm telling you, without giving you the up the hill both way stories, we didn't have no money. Yeah. And so I did, man, what just an unbelievable thing for young people to do. If you don't got nothing, if you don't got a car that gets to the part-time job, you need a step up first. And I joined the military, I joined the Army. It was a great career. I loved every bit of it. I got to do things on my bucket list when I was young. Still today I look back and go, that was awesome. But come out of college a little bit older and from Louisiana Tech, I got an engineering degree. Boomer, most people, if you play that game, because I can tell you're a guy who likes to play games.
Yeah.
If you play that game, give me three things, and you got to guess the lie.
Yeah.
I tell people I got an engineering degree, and of course you hear how I talk already, and they're like,
That's
they
the
will
lie.
fall for that every time. And I win on that one. I could win $1 million playing that one, like the three, the shell game. But anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah. So I had a true engineering degree, and Cooper Tire used to be a company right here, and there was a man that was the plant manager, Lamar Hammonds. I thought the world of him. There was another man from El Dorado, y'all might know, Martin Mackin was the human resource guy, and he fell in love with me and me with him instantly. And I'm not trying to brag, but it's hard to get a true engineer, and they're not. Apparently, they're hard to come by, even though I didn't really ever use mine. And so they were excited about getting an engineer, and I was excited about getting a job and not being in a big, New York City or even somewhere. And I loved it. I spent about 3 years here at that plant, and I grew personally with the family. I got married while I was here. It was just I had a first child here, born. Yeah. I just think about this, Boomer. This is pretty neat to me, and I'm sorry. I don't want to use all our time. Saying
no, please.
You got me on a little bit of a memory lane. You know how that goes. My firstborn child, he's 28 right now. He just graduated med school. He's in Little Rock at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, on his residency, his first month of residency. But he was born here in this hospital here in El Dorado, Arkansas. Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. I'm sorry, Boomer. In 28 years, I'm sorry, Sam. I'm eating you up, man.
No.
Yes, I have. You asked, so you see how this is going to go. You asked me, did I have ties to El Dorado? Yes. Two.
So you were here 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Martin Mackin's a great man.
Great man.
He's passed on.
Has he? I did not know that. Oh, that just hurt me. But But he was a Christian, and he's in heaven, and we'll see each other again. Me and two of my great friends here, Bobby Burson, he sells insurance here in town, Farm Bureau, and then Stan Calloway, he is a big time position at Amber Cable now, and I don't know what it is right now, but we were at a different time in life, and we would come out here to this Hillsboro. Do y'all remember that? It was a pool place, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere right here.
Hills.
Yeah. And man, we would play some pool and drink a cold
beers.
beverage after work is what we would do. And it was a good time in life, Sandy. It was a good time in my life. It was a good, great time in my life.
Yeah. So you have this engineering degree.
Yeah.
You've been overseas. You were in combat.
Yes.
And I've heard you talk some stories about that as well. But then, how do you go from that, from an engineering degree to the FBI?
Yeah, exactly that. I got a call from a recruiter for the FBI, and they said, Chris, we have put your Army achievements, what you did in the Army, your awards, stories, blah, 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 together, and you've got an engineering degree. And we would like you think about working for the FBI. Well, at that time, and sometimes I'm talking with younger people now, and they don't even know some of the stuff that we talk about. I know that's every generation, but this definitely changed with the cell phone. Because I'm going to give you a word, and y'all are going to be like, oh, great movie. But I do this now, and kids look at me like, what are you talking about? So at that time, it hadn't been that long. Point Break, the movie comes out with the surfers in California, the bank robbers.
Patrick
Swayze. Dude, I'm like, look, if you'll hire me to go surfing in California and solve bank robberies, I'm all about it. That's all I knew of the FBI. I'm not going to lie to you. That's literally all I knew of the FBI. And anyway, so I'm going to give you another really quick, I promise, Sandy, contacted El Dorado. I don't know where he is now, but they had me come and speak to a guy here at that courthouse named Mike Magoo.
He was the sheriff.
Okay,
and former FBI.
He was a former FBI guy because he met me up there just to tell me about the FBI. Yeah. They wanted me to go and sit down with the guy, and I met him up there. And he gave me, an hour of the FBI, and then I went to and got hired by the FBI.
Now, your first gig out of
Little Rock, Arkansas.
That's what. And now,
great city too. Great state, y'all. Y'all, this is an unbelievable state y'all live in. I love Arkansas. I do.
I'm a native Texan,
and
so I choose.
Texas is a great state.
I choose to be here too, and I chose this, and this is where I choose to raise my family. I love
Arkansas is unbelievable state.
We're going to take a break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We're going to take a break. When we come back, let's talk about Little Rock because you got some very new experience in Little Rock. And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
We've got a whole show coming up with Chris Plants. He's a former FBI agent, and it goes from funny to scary to sad to angry.
Yeah, sure. All of that.
And then there's some redemption in here too. So we're going to talk about all those things. Please don't miss our next segment. It's coming up right after this.
Grammy Award-winning Train, live. August 27th, the Mad Amphitheater in El Dorado, Arkansas. Train, with special guest Edwin McCain. On sale now at eldomad.com. Presented by Save Me San Francisco Wine Company.
Summer is sizzling at Davis Farms Country Market. They just received a new load of fresh Ruston peaches, local farm-raised Jubilee and Black Diamond watermelons, and check out the new shipment of summer cantaloupes and more. Of course, there's always new summer fruit and vegetables arriving nearly daily. But be warned, if you come look, you can't help but buy. Food grown and raised by local farmers ready for you at Davis Farms Country Market, 4523 Junction City Highway, or call 870-639-1323. Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer and our special guest, Chris Plants, who's a former FBI agent. And we were talking just a moment ago. Now, just to recap, you were born in Cotton Valley. And you said you didn't have any money. I don't think anyone there ever did until Trace Adkins over in Sarepta.
He lives in Sarepta, but yes.
Until Trace Adkins made it. But I met his brother. I talked to his mom on the phone one time, Clay.
Yep.
And I met talked to his mom on the phone. I met his brother over at King's Corner, Assembly of God Church over there. And anyway, but back to that. So you don't have money to go to college. You go into the Army. You see combat. You're over in the Mideast. You come back and you get an engineering degree from Louisiana Tech.
Yes, sir.
Ever loyal be. Go Bulldogs. Yeah. And well, he's a Louisiana Tech grad.
Oh,
my
cool,
oldest child, she's in law school now. She's a Louisiana Tech grad.
Cool.
My middle son is a Louisiana Tech grad, and until yesterday, he was an employee.
Okay,
and he finished his tour with Louisiana Tech, and now he is going to be the new civics and U.S. history teacher here at the high school.
Oh, good. So coming back home.
Lot of Louisiana Tech ties in our family. But anyway, so you get out of Tech, you have an engineering degree, you're living and working in El Dorado. Your oldest son is born in El Dorado.
That's right, Will Plants. Yes, sir.
And then you get recruited by the FBI, and your first station. Now, let me ask you this: when you go to Quantico, do they give you? Do you make a list of places you want to be stationed?
Man, that's great. And I mean, Quantico is just unbelievable. And at this time, because it's going to flip. At this time, I'm telling you, this is the greatest law enforcement agency in the world. It is not anymore. I'm just telling you that straight up too. And we can talk about that later on. But it is not, and it is not fixed. Okay,
right.
I'm telling you this.
But
anyway, at Quantico is unbelievable. It's a great learning facility. It's like a college MBA program / you go down to the gym and beat the tar out of each other for a while, and then the next hour you might be at firearms range learning how to shoot, and then you go back to learn law or ethics, or like you better have your head in the game, because if you flunk, you gone. And it is a crazy facility. A little neat thing about it is if you don't want to, you never have to go outside. They got the buildings connected with like these gerbil tubes that you go all to. But it has a town. A fake town in it, Hogan's Alley, and they got actors hired like at Six Flags, like when you get to see all the shoot 'ems up at Six Flags. So they hire people to come for the season, and they act all these things, crazy
scenarios.
Hogan's Alley bank gets robbed 6 times a day. There's a kidnap victim on the other side of town. There's going to be a shooting in front of the theater. It's nuts. But so you go over there and get all your practical work in. Great fun stuff. But real, you know what I'm saying? Real. And yes, Quantico is just unbelievable. I got to go later on, Sandy. I don't know how much all this will get out, but later on I got to be a firearms instructor at Quantico for about a half a year, because I was a firearms instructor in the field, what they say. But they had a time where a lot of guys had put in for retirement / vacation. They were down on numbers, and they called me and said, "Chris, would you mind?" I had done it before, just a couple of weeks here and there, and they said, "Would you mind coming up here for a while, being a firearms instructor?" And so I got to do that without having. I didn't ever want to live in that part of the country and whatnot. And I'm gonna get back to this, Cindy, I promise. Anyway, I got to be a real firearms instructor, if you will, at Quantico, and that was a neat highlight of my career without having to really do it for years, whatever.
Sure.
So yes, here's the neat thing. So about week 8, it's about a 6-month thing, but about week 8, if I'm remembering right, they make a big deal of it. You come in late at night after supper, maybe like 8 o'clock, to a classroom. There's 50 in a class, 32 graduated with me. But anyway, so they'll put up the huge map on the board, and they'll give you your letter. And it's like the military, man. You don't know where you're going in. I'm going to tell you, there's no rhyme or reason, Boomer. This is the joke, that there's, all the FBI and all these computers and analytics and da-da-da-da. But this is how they decide where you go. They go down to the basement.
You play pin to tail
They got
on the
a bunch
donkey?
of drunk monkeys down there. Drunk monkeys, and they hand that monkey a dart. And they're like, "Chris Plants." And he throws that dart, right? So you stand in front of the class. They've got a letter for you, and they make you say some things. Like I can remember anymore, but you go, "Hey, my name's Chris Plants, and I want to go here. Like I want to go to Dallas, Texas, but I'm going." And actually, I was one of the ones that was blessed. Little Rock was unbelievable, and I was like, "I'm going to Little Rock." But you would have the guy, no joke. You'd have the guy from Pennsylvania that lived in Pennsylvania, and he goes, "I'm going to San Diego, California." And you would have the next guy get up who was from San Diego, California, and go, "I'm going to New Jersey." And you were like, "But
what is wrong with
you?
y'all?
Cannot change. You cannot flip. You can't trade. It's just when you get that name, and so then you go put a dot up. And for all the New York people, because they're going to have a bunch of New York people, probably has 7 out of my class, they get the pen and an apple. They give them an apple just to mess with them. That was a long answer, Sandy. It's neat, though, man.
Well,
I guess all I got is long answers, Boomer.
So, but that answered my question, and that is, so you had really no control over where you were going to be sent. So
I like to say God has all that control, though, Sandy. He sent me everywhere I needed to go.
That's true. And so you end up in Little Rock.
Yes.
And was it your first day that you started buying dope?
Dude, it was day number 3.
Okay.
Day number 3, and I'm telling you, I was the country boy from Cotton Valley. I'm telling you, because it was funny when I got my lie detector test. You can, in the FBI, you can proverbial smoke marijuana up to 13 times. I don't know where they come up with all this stuff. But I was telling the guy, I was like, no, I've never done it. And he was like, come on, man. He's like, the machine's not saying you're lying, but you're lying because, the times we live in, even then. I know I'm getting on 20 years, but blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I've never fooled with dope. And he's just like, I've drunk my share of beer, but, da-da. So, man, I'm just telling you, the Cotton Valley boy had never seen marijuana nor cocaine or methamphetamine or any of that. And about day number 3, the guys are like, get in the car, here's what we do, blah, blah, blah. And we bought a whole ounce. And if you're a local police department, you're going to be like, oh, my gosh, that was a lot. It wasn't a kilo. And I've done lots of kilos since then, but it was an ounce. It's, about a handful of crack cocaine. So that's where I see my first crack cocaine. Before that, I thought it was all Miami Vice. That's the only place that has cocaine.
You're going to be busting boats full of it.
Yeah. So we start buying. We work true gangs in Little Rock. Little Rock, a lot of cities will say they got this or that. If you're not in a huge city, Little Rock has true Bloods and Crips and gangster disciples, and they still do. But even the worst gangs, Sandy, and I'll have to shut up at some point, the worst ones are those, there was one called the Oak Street Gang. Why? Because it's guys like y'all that grew up together, and they're a lot tighter than these national guys, that come together and stuff. And they can be a lot more violent and stuff like that. But anyway, I got to work true dope. I'm going to get just one more funny story. I have no clue where I'm moving. I'm moving to Little Rock. I just picked out one of the cheapest apartments I could find. I still had my family. They were waiting for the end of the school year. And I just picked out a super cheap. And I didn't even know the area was called Hard Scramble, if y'all know where the area's at. I had no clue. It had a nickname. And the second week, everybody's like, hey, let's go do this. We're going to bust the door, boom, boom, boom. And we go up there, and we're about three doors down from my apartment. Bam! I'm like, I got to find another place to live.
Breaching the door.
Wow. So you buy your first bit of dope, and then what starts? That was weird. Yeah. What starts happening with you in the FBI from there?
So I had just the greatest career at Little Rock for about 3 to 4 years, and then they say, Chris, we want to move you. Things were starting to happen at the border, and if you've never been to the border, you can watch Fox News all you want. You don't understand it unless you've been there.
Yeah.
And I had no clue. I had only seen somebody talk about it, the big personality.
Yeah.
And you don't understand that there's a little brother that lives in my city was Del Rio. The sister city is Acuna. His sister lives in Acuna, and they don't even understand that this river is 2 different countries. Man, they don't have a clue. Yeah. But anyway, it's very complicated. I used to tell people, you know what? Let me stick to it, Sandy. So about 3 to 4 years in, I get orders that I'm going to the border was all we knew.
Now, can you deny those orders?
No. That's a huge deal when they meet with you to talk to you. They even met with my wife. This is a big deal to tell her. Literally, my recruiter met with her on a bench outside a track field. They just had me running and said, look, we just need you to know if we tell you to go somewhere, you got to go there. Even if it's not 3 years or 4 years, if it changes in 6 months, I need you to go there. You sign a piece of paper that says you'll do that.
Okay.
Now, can't physically make you do it, Sandy, but you're going to be fired if you don't,
right.
So anyway, but I was in it to win it, brother. I've always been for this country, bragging on in it to win it. This is what they need of me. I'm doing it. So I'm sorry. So they go, you're going to the border. And so I'm like, well, you know what? I apologize. They said, you're going to Texas. And I'm like, oh, man, Texas.
A lot of places
I might
in Texas.
get back to Dallas. I might get to San Antonio, blah, 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 blah. And then we had another meeting, me with these higher-ups, and they went, well, Chris, they found out that you have Army, and I'd made the Little Rock FBI SWAT team while I was in Little Rock. And they found out you're on a SWAT team and you were in the Army and, you've done some things. So we got some problems at the border right now. We're sending you to the border.
Golly.
So I was speaking to the head guy in San Antonio, Drew Brown was his name. And I said, hey, well, man, he goes, get a map out. He's on the phone talking to me. We got a map out. And he's like, so you got all these places. He's talking. I said, sir, I don't know any of these places. I don't know where I'm, he was trying to, he says, man, I don't know if he sold me that day, car dealership. He got me if he did. He says, Chris, I'm telling you, we got this small office in Del Rio, Texas. He goes, I can hear your voice. Huge lake, biggest lake in the country, Lake Amistad.
Yep.
And he goes, man, the deer hunting there is ridiculous. I got a spot for you right now. I said, well, sign me up, man. And then, so me and the family moved down there. My wife, when she seen the place, she cried tears. It looks like a nuclear bomb went off down there. Yeah, and you talking about problems. Oh, my gosh. And I started working the cartels for dope. That's where I started getting the 100 kilos, the 350 kilos, the 500 kilos, and just really got into the Mexican Mafia. So at the end of that one, we left with and just great story, Sandy. But that we always said that though the work was ridiculous down there, but living down there was so anyway, I got literally the call. It was in the middle of the day, not the middle of the night, and it was like, let's say right after lunch, and it said, Chris, go get your kids out of school, call your wife, tell her y'all got to get out of town now. Wow. And that's another whole story that we could do forever, Sandy. But so I moved. They call it a threat to life. Okay. So they moved me and my whole family again. And that time they moved me to Shreveport. I got a little bit of deal.
Let's back up on that for a second.
I'm sorry, Sandy. You tell me when to shut up.
No, you're fine. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So I would imagine most FBI agents who are buying drugs and there's always going to be threats. I was a police officer. There was a credible threat once against me, but I would think that the FBI would have a protocol beyond just moving out. This obviously was a very real and very serious threat.
So the FBI does accept. This was a very unique situation. You're dealing with the cartel, and of course, without me telling a million stories, they could come across that river any day they wanted. I had my murder cases that I was working with against the cartel too, and the kidnapping cases, the murder cases. You would love them. But so they can come across any day they want, and they actually live in Del Rio too. And so it was a little 3-man RA. There wasn't but 3 of us there.
Now, RA.
It was a resident agency. San Antonio is the headquarters.
Yeah.
There's 54 field offices. It's called a field office in the United States. But you got all these little offices, like in New Orleans and Louisiana. Shreveport's an RA, resident agency. So El Dorado has it did, and I bet it still does, a 2-man resident agency where Magoo used to be. But anyway, so they tried a couple of things to protect me, if you will, to keep me kind of in the game. They really hated to move me through some procedures you're talking about, and none of them would work out because I was 5 hours from San Antonio. There wasn't but 3 of us down there. We were you couldn't trust local cops. You couldn't trust Border Patrol. About that time, they took a class of Border Patrol and did the lie detector test on them, and 60% of them failed.
Oh, wow.
I was working Border Patrol guys that were paid by the cartel that I had found out, and they were working for me and telling me when the loads was coming in because they were paid to let the loads through. So it got to be out of control situation. The letters that came through, and you would love this story, Sandy. I've got to quit on it, I bet, for you. But the letters were coming from the jail because the Mexican Mafia rules the jails. And the letter was coming down from the Supermax in Colorado where the head guy was. And they were defining exactly where I lived and who was supposed to kill me and how they were supposed to kill me and blah, blah, blah. It got really big time. And the date, it was about Christmas time. I got called about 2 weeks before Christmas, go home. They were wanting to make an example out of me and stuff. Wow. And I've got those actual letters. I still have copies of, man. They're in Spanish. You had to translate them and everything. I'm sorry.
No. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So you basically have to just drop everything.
You literally, we went to the school and got milk jugs and walked to the lockers of my kids. One was in 1st grade and one was in 3rd grade, and we dumped the books in the milk jugs, put them in my car. They never seen that school again. They're 28 and 24 now, and they still to this day will tell you, I never got to say bye to Joey. I never got to say bye to Alicia.
That scared the fool out of them.
It did something that they never got to say. Even if we were leaving that day and go, I'm moving schools. They never got to do that. It was something that just, I don't know. Anyway, never finished that circle. And my wife had to walk, Sandy, I'm going to quit here, I promise you. But my wife, man, you don't think about these things for the country. My wife had to walk into a principal's office. She was a guidance counselor and say, "Sir, I'm gone." And, man, that is not my wife. My wife is by the book, boom, and it hurt her, dude, you know.
Wow. And did he even know that you were FBI?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he
but,
did. Okay.
And he knew that, he knew that there was a serious problem. We had to tell the schools there's possibilities some people could come up looking for us and stuff. So, anyway.
Well, and school security.
Yeah.
It's, but so of all places now, you're getting moved, and you have no choice where they're going to send you.
Man, on that one, I had a little bit better. They first come down with Juneau, Alaska, Sandy. and I know the theory was they give me a call from headquarters, said, "Chris, we're moving you to Juneau, Alaska."
Get you far away.
But I wasn't playing about hunting and stuff no more at this time.
Yeah,
I'm like, and I'm a little bit mad about everything that's going on and how I'm getting done. I lost a ton of money on the sale of that house. Nobody wanted to buy that house.
Well, sure.
But anyway,
Yeah,
everybody in Del Rio knew what was going on. I had been to a grand jury in Del Rio, and anyway, lots of people knew about this. And my point is, they call and go, "Juneau, Alaska," and that was the first time maybe ever. And I didn't get crazy, and I would have went to Juneau if they said Juneau. But I did this. The quote, country boy way. I said, "Sir, this is punishment if you send me to Juneau. I have not done anything to get punished for." And he says, "Man, you know what? You're right. Hang on." And he comes back, and they go, "Chris, where would you like to go?" And I said, "Man, if you want to really help me," of course, they were doing this threat continuum too. And I was like, "Man, y'all could move me back to this little bitty small town, if you will. I know not compared to El Dorado and country guys, but Shreveport, Louisiana, there's an RA there. I'm going to live 40 minutes away in a little small town where everybody knows me. If there's anybody asking questions, local
You'll
police
know it immediately.
Went to school with me, And so they said, all right, we'll move you there."
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's where you got to go. We're going to talk about his time in Shreveport, and we're going to do that when we come back. Taking a quick break. Back with more of Off the Back Porch right after this.
Everybody loves a parade, and hilarious pizza throws parades all week long. Bring the family in for your favorites, or explore the variety the Hilarious Pizza offers. Come join us at Hilarious Pizza for the greatest parade ever.
This guy that I had working for me named Shadow, he was a Mexican Mafia guy. I'm going to give you one real quick story how I get him. He goes from I also had Eagle Pass and Piedras Negras, and he's living in Eagle Pass, and he's the head of the Mexican Mafia there, and but they had got down on their bill, and so they go into Piedras Negras just to get 2 kilos, and y'all would be like, "Oh my gosh." For them, that's nothing. They were down on the bill. They needed to flip some money and come back and blah, blah, blah. Well, they were down on the bill too much. So him and this guy named Joey go into Piedras Negras. "Hey, we need 2 kilos. They were too far down. So they throw the ski mask on them, and they take them. They call them nurseries. Take them to the nursery to hold them, possibly kill them, do whatever. That's the holding facility for the cartel, their jail. So they take them to the cartel. Well, the family calls. It was a Saturday. And I ain't been down there a month, and didn't know who nobody was. And the family calls me about a guy. It's U.S. citizens that got kidnapped. Okay, and I don't know the game now. I don't know what's going on. And I go down there and I'm working a kidnapping, and I start, I start interviewing people. Yeah, he's the head of the Mexican Mafia. Yeah, well, he slings dope. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I see, what all's going on. The other people getting serious with me because they're wanting to help him out. He owes money, man. Blah blah blah. So, but I'm working it, and then I get with my Mexican counterpart, and my Mexican counterpart who's supposed to be vetted by the United States. Yeah. This will tell you though. Yeah. So, because I know Shadow's story, and I'm gonna back into it. But Shadow, like, I get a call at like 1 a.m, Border Patrol. "Hey, Chris, we got your boy. He's at the port. They let him go." I said, all right. He goes, he wants to talk to you. And I was like, of course I want to talk to him. So I met him at 1 in the morning. And man, this, he, not big guy in stature. He's a Mexican guy, but he's got the sun god tattooed on him. He's the real deal. And he just comes up to me. He never met me before. And he goes, you Chris Plains. He starts hugging me and crying. He said, man, you saved my life. You saved my life. Thank you. I owe you for the rest of my life, all this stuff. And I'm like, all right. I go, well, I need to hear a story though, man. And I don't care about the dope. Just tell me the story. You're not going to jail because you were going to buy 2 kilos. Tell me the story. And he goes, all right, so everything's right. We went over there, blah, blah, blah. We owe a bill. They threw us in there. Well, then here goes the Mexican vetted guy. So they came in earlier today and said that the FBI is asking a lot of questions. And I did. His truck had the GPS on it. They took his truck to that thing. And I done got that. And I knew where this was. And I was wanting to hit that place. And the Mexican kept telling me, no, we can't hit that place. Well, so the cartel did know that I knew where they were. And they had a lot of other people there too. So the cartel comes in and puts him and Joey down on their knees. And they said, this is what's happened. They said, so, man, we're fixing to draw a lot of heat on this place, or either we're fixing to get y'all back to the border. But we've decided we're going to let one of you go back to the border. And boom, they shoot Joey in the head.
Oh, my
right
gosh.
in front of him. And then they tell him, hey, you better go back to the border and you better make this where they don't come back over here. And so I always thought this to Shadow, though, even though, man, he went to work for me and wouldn't even get paid. But I never told him this. I always thought this. When he'd tell me, he goes, man, Chris, you saved my life. I'll do it. Whatever I ask him, you saved my life. I'll do it. And I always thought to myself, I don't know if I saved your life or I killed Joey. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know where I was on that spectrum, Sandy.
Did you know that if your home air conditioning unit is already running and you turn the thermostat down to try to make it cooler in the house, you could be doing more harm than good? This is why you call Dyson Service Company the experts of home comfort solutions. That's another way of saying Dyson Service Company helps make your home a place of comfort and relaxation. Call Dyson Service Company today, 862-0409.
A proud member of the El Dorado community, LSB Industries is a leading manufacturer of nitrogen-based products for the industrial and agricultural markets. Working together as one team, our employees are dedicated to creating products that improve the quality of life for current and future generations.
People will call it a number of things: kisses from the clouds, revenge from Mother Nature, or just a little cosmetic damage. But the truth of the matter is, it's hail damage, and it severely affects the value of your car. And if you don't get it fixed and have an accident later, you could be looking at a lot of out-of-pocket expense from your insurance for pre-existing damage. If you have hail damage, get to Cook's Body Shop. Cook's Body Shop has highly trained experts at paintless dent repair who can make your vehicle look good again. When it happens, look to Cook's, 118 Rowell Street in El Dorado.
Hey, welcome back for more of Off the Back Porch with Sandy and Boomer and our special guest, Chris Plants. And if you haven't figured out by now, Chris, who we've talked about it, born and raised in Cotton Valley.
Yes.
Which is just down the road.
Yes.
Okay. And then went into the Army, went overseas, went to Louisiana Tech, lived in El Dorado.
Yeah.
Then was in Little Rock with the FBI, got down to Del Rio, Texas, which had to feel like Moses on the backside of the desert.
That's right.
And then there's a credible death threat against him and his family.
Yeah.
And basically the FBI snatches him up and they send him to Shreveport.
Yeah.
And
like
so,
that's a safe place.
Yeah. Shreveport is not a safe place. But I didn't live in Shreveport. But that's
indeed.
funny that you know that. Yeah. We joke about don't cross the Red River if you're in Bossier Side.
Yeah.
Don't cross the river after dark. Don't cross the river after dark. I'm sorry. Yes.
So you go to Shreveport. Now, what, up to this point, like you said, you're the new guy, so in Little Rock. So
again, you always have to make your bones again at every office. Show who you are, what you'll do, what you'll work, how you'll work, figure your spot out. Yep.
So when you get to Shreveport, what do you do?
Man, I fell back into dope again, slang words to say it. Violent crime, major offenders. Started working a couple of good cases, started getting some good motorcycle gang cases. It don't matter, man. I started working some violent crimes again. And falling back on my old school bank robberies, and just trying to find my way. And I was there.
By the way, there's a bank in Stonewall that seems like about once a year it gets robbed.
I worked that case, man.
Did you
I worked
really?
that case, that's a great story. But anyway, so I'm just trying to find where I fit in Shreveport. Because, when you come in, everybody's assigned to different things. Well, there was a cat that was assigned to the Violent Crimes Against Children Task Force, and he was moving on after a couple of years. So, and it wasn't really a big deal then, but it became a huge thing. So what happens about 2010, 2012, and this is crazy for me to explain this to y'all, but the internet is truly coming about. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had emails and we're doing some stuff, but it's coming about like it today. And what happened with the internet, it made it to where, we talk about this word human trafficking. It's the new crack cocaine of crimes. Everybody wants some of it. But what happened was, used to, if you rolled into a city, if you wanted to be with a girl, you had to, know a specific place in the town.
Drive through that part of town.
Or a corner, or tracks, what they call it. Or you had to know a guy, a taxi cab driver, a valet, But it got to where now, and I've got this great story in case it never got prosecuted. You go online, and it's not like dark web. It's WW, like if you went to WW Bass Pro, you know how boom, it comes up, right? So there's these online ones. One's called WW, and boom, there's all your girls in major towns. But even Shreveport, bam, there they are. Wow. In Dallas, Austin, blah, blah, blah. So you can just start talking to them there. So it got to be for the business guy, man, you didn't have to even talk to nobody no more.
Okay.
So you know how easy this got? And I'm sorry, what you're getting at, Sandy, was I took over the Violent Crimes Against Children Task Force for North Louisiana. And so we worked three things. We worked missing kids, which is just horrible. You don't get many of them back alive, man.
Oh, man.
And I've got one case in particular. It wasn't the only one, but one in particular haunts me so bad today because we've never found him. And that would just, even though I know he is dead, you still lay awake at night and go, man, what if? And so, but anyway, and where did you not do this? Or, it kills me. So, and then in the middle was the fun thing, if you will, for us, just to tell you how messed up our minds were, was human trafficking. I'm gonna come back to that, and then on the end, we worked child pornography. And it's the worst thing made up by the devil ever.
I'm telling you.
And I wouldn't even try to describe.
My wife and I I said, Martha, there's no mindset that you can think of that would get you there.
It's horrible, horrible. And it's all videos and horrible pictures, but it's a lot of videos nowadays. But anyway, so I was working those cases too, and you got to go through all that stuff to get to trial because you got to be able to tell the judge this is what it is.
Yeah.
So you go, hey, I don't want to look at that. You can't. Somebody's got to go and go, and I knew that, and I've been told of the dangers. I didn't really understand them. But anyway, so back to the human trafficking. So I worked human trafficking. So that was the fun time. So we'd be out most every night. I had a great task force, had Bossier guys on it. Shreveport Vice was my number one local law enforcement side. We had state police on it, Troop G. Had everybody on it. And we were just a great group that worked it intensely, and we took it to another level. We got to go all around the country and teach it, how you work it. Well, we had people call and say, how are we doing this? How are we doing this? Because our stats. At one time, a guy from headquarters come in and said, Chris, you got as many stats or arrest, recovery of underage girls in hotels that are getting sold. You got as much stats in Shreveport as Detroit does.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, you're killing it. And, what are y'all doing? And we was getting this all the time, winning all kinds of awards and stuff.
Real quick.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Did you work with or do you know Horace Womack? He did a lot of internet crimes in DeSoto Parish.
Yeah. I worked with DeSoto a lot, but I don't know that name.
He was really good at pretending to be an underage girl that some guy would drive up to meet. And I'll just tell you, there were so many of those arrests.
No, we did those, but those weren't, believe it or not, the horrible ones. I mean, they're horrible. They're all horrible. Yeah. Believe me, when you look at me and go, they weren't the worst, you're like, dude, you just have to get in my head, and I'd never let you in it. But back to I had it. We would rent a whole floor, pick out a hotel, rent a whole floor. I'd have rooms for the undercovers. I was also in the FBI, and I was a SWAT operator. I was a firearms instructor, and I was a certified undercover. So I do a lot of undercover stuff too. But when I did this, it was kind of, I did a lot of undercover work with it, but it was also about me orchestrating it, everything that was going on. So, I'd get the undercover rooms, and then we'd take them to other rooms where we do the all the paperwork and get everything processed. And then we'd have some holding rooms. And then eventually, if you do this, man, I don't care what city you're in, if it's decent size, you're going to fill those rooms up. It's just human trafficking is ridiculous right now. And so then we'd call the paddy wagon in and say, hey, man, I got 30 girls up here. Can y'all get them to the jail? And we just keep doing it all night long. So I did it like fishing. And if you got about 50 prostitutes coming in, you don't never know who's coming in because of the ads. I got a funny story I could tell you. But if you did about 50, 30 to 50, there was going to come the 14-year-old girl or the 15-year-old girl or the 16-year-old girl. And it happened all the time, man. I had a girl one time that showed up. I was doing the undercover, and on the ad, she was a white female with blonde hair. Well, she showed up, and she was a black female. And of voluptuous, is that how you say?
Yeah,
come on, Mr. Radio Man.
Yeah, voluptuous.
Okay, she was very voluptuous. Had a big moo kind of dress on, and I opened the door, and of course, I'm no idiot. I'm instantly like, oh, this ain't the girl. But I had been doing this a minute, but I couldn't help it with her. So she was still in the hall area, and she just pulls her dress all the way up, didn't have nothing on under it, and I'm like, oh, well, come on in, and da-da-da. So we got through with the rest and all, and just to tell you about who you never get. And I said, look, girl, I just got to ask you, I'm so sorry. I go, of course you're not this girl. Do you ever get like, whoa, stop, don't come in here, like, who are you, blah, blah, blah. She said, baby, once I roll that dress up like I did for you, everybody says, come on in.
Oh, Lord.
So I know, but it's horrible, but it's a disease for man, and it's what man does.
Yeah.
But we could work it so much better. I'd love just a second to tell you how, but Congress could work this better. We could work better. There's better tools to work it. Nobody wants to for some reason. Nobody has the appetite to. But during this, Sandy, I'm sitting around a room one day, and I'm wondering, every time I had done any kind of case, I'm like, how can I do it better? How can I get bigger? How can I move to the actual cartel? You know what I'm saying? How do I move past the prostitutes and the Johns that are the low level? And so I started coming to these internet sites. I'm like, man, if we could take these internet sites down, make them go back to the track where you got to go, that would take the numbers down, all this stuff. Anyway, so but with that, I kept asking around town, hey, who provides this? How can we do something better for these girls than just throw them in jail? And this name in Shreveport kept coming up, Cassie Hammett. She started this thing called Purchase, where everybody would say at first the hub, Cassie Hammett. So I went down to the hub. The hub was started by her. She graduated from Louisiana Tech, went straight to the ministry. She started a nonprofit that fed the homeless downtown Shreveport called the Hub. From that, she started seeing a lot of girls being human trafficked. She says, I'm going to do something. God told me to do something. She starts a thing called Purchase. Why is it called Purchased? Because Cassie told me at our first meeting, Boomer, and I was just like, yes, we're working together. She says, Chris, these girls can't be purchased. And I'm like, okay. She said, they've already been purchased by the blood of Christ. They can't be purchased. I said, hey, will you come on our task force? So she had everything but a gun. She had real credentials like you see on TV. She went with us, did everything. So when I started booking those rooms, I would get her 2 rooms too, and we'd start getting purchased to come up. So voluntary, hey girl, look, I know you've been arrested, you're going to go to jail in a little bit, but would you like to speak to some people that can help you provide GEDs, provide clothing, get you into an apartment, get you into counseling, blah, 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 blah. She's got it all under one umbrella. And so half of them say, yeah. And they go in that room, and she does it all through Jesus, man. And her everything about her schooling and everything's all through Jesus. So I start seeing her change lives, really change lives. And then I start thinking about myself as the guy that's a great church guy inside the walls of a church. Teach Sunday school. The guy that the youth director's gone. Oh my gosh, we ain't got nobody to hang out with the kids. Takes a lot of energy.
Call Chris.
I'll do it for 6 months till we get a youth director. Make a committee, all that. But no, outside of church, what am I doing? And I start seeing Cassie do this stuff outside of church, man, and changing lives because she's with the lost where they're at. Not just turning the air conditioner on, the lights on, and go come to church. She's out there where they're at. And it changed my life watching her do it. And it was so enjoyable to work with her. So that's a whole nother thing with her and Purchased. But then I started at the same point in time Sandy, somebody said at that time I was still on the SWAT team, and I was a little bit of a gym rat then. I'm not anymore. And somebody would be like,
Could've
hey,
fooled me.
Nah, dude, I'm telling you. But anyway, said, dude, I got 2 different times in 1 week. There's this gym in Shreveport I think you would like, Chris. And I'm like, all right. And everybody's always looking for, when you're into it, a new way to work out, a new way to stress yourself, a new way, I was like, all right. And they said, man, it's called CrossFit Gym. And here it is. And so I go one morning at 9 o'clock. The FBI gives you time to work out. And I show up, and so it was a guy named Billy Weatherall. He had just started the gym. He was in a little strip mall. Now he's got a nice gym just like everybody else. It's a really nice gym. But he was just starting. It's a totally free gym. Totally free gym. Makes no sense, right? But here's the gist of it. You can go and you can work out and you can ride a bike. You can do whatever you want. But during the day, there's these classes. And if you come to one of these classes, you're going to start with a prayer. Then you're going to hear about Jesus for about 10 minutes of devotion. And then you're going to work out together in like a boot camp style. So these Christians start working out together. So another just life changing. I'm watching him change lives outside the church walls again. And people are coming to know Christ because they're coming to a gym. Those same people ain't going to that church. And some of them do later on, but they're not going to church. Statistics on church are just completely down. Nobody wants to go up in the doors no more. And I'm thankful for the and I do go to church, Sandy, but
I get you.
My point is I'm starting to see this out in the world, like outside the walls, like it's supposed to be. And then I meet a guy named Mark Rohde. And Mark Rohde, they're going on 13, 14 years. We're going on 5. Had started this thing called Men of Courage in Bossier. And Mark, for 6 months, but I'm telling you about me, Boomer. 6 months, we're at this gym, we're working out together, we're having this great relationship as Christian men. But he's like, man, I want you to come to Men of Courage. Come to me. I'm like, wow, what y'all do there? I don't want no Men of Courage, man, blah, blah, blah.
Said, I got courage.
And finally show up, and I watch. He does it in a barn out in the middle of a pasture, and I watch these welding trucks pull up with the banker, and then the plumber truck pull up with the cop, and you're just like just men walking up, dude, all denominations, Baptist, Presbyterian, Pentecost, Assembly of God, you name one, they're showing up. And they're just showing up to worship Jesus Christ. And don't get me wrong, I know we're probably never going to take these denomination names down. No, I'm not asking to take general churches. But we should come together every once in a while and start worshiping Jesus together. And it's stronger and it's more powerful, man. So there's this Bible verse that God got me to. And I don't know where I'm at now, Cindy, but let me finish with this verse. I don't know what you asked, but listen to me. There's this Bible verse. John 17:23. I had read the book of John so many times. Different times he talks to you different ways through these scriptures. At different times you need different scriptures. John chapter 17 just hits me like a literal hammer one day. I read it many times. It's where Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he starts praying. He's fixing to get arrested. Of course, he knows everything's fixing to go down. He starts praying for the disciples first for nothing to happen to them. Right then, nothing did. Later on, things are going to happen. But right then, he's like, ooh, don't let my boys go down like this. Then he starts praying for us, the Christians, to be. And there's this verse, I've never read it, but not in here. There's this verse, John 17:23. And it says, if the church will come together in unity. Now, this is Jesus' church. This is all Christians. This is Baptist, Pentecost, Presbyterian, Methodist. He said, if the church will come together in unity, what do we get from that? Jesus said, the world will see me. And, dude, when we do our stuff outside the church, when we build a free wheelchair ramp, when we give a free Bible away with names on it, when we're at a barbecue eating contest and we're making barbecue that nobody will eat, but yet we're on the street talking about Jesus, and we're doing it like we did a ramp today, our 24th for the year. There were 10 different churches represented, 6 different denominations, man.
That's awesome.
I'm telling you, there's something about, I'm not against the traditional church. I want you to be a traditional church. But traditional churches went to war with each other, like Alabama and LSU, and I want my church to do good.
Yeah.
But I'll say it out loud, but I don't really want your church to do good because I want mine to do good.
Yeah.
And we did
if
that.
If I get your people come over
here.
Yeah.
If I can get the biggest youth program better than your youth program, I don't want my youth over at your program. We messed up. We messed up bad. I had one night at one of our Men of Courage and walked up to me to accept Christ, but he said, man, dude, I want to pray with you. I'm so glad I was here tonight. He goes, but there's something I got to tell you, Chris. I'm like, what? He goes, I hit an 8-ball right before I come in here, so I don't think I should do this right now. I said, no,
it's perfect time.
You should do this right now.
Yep.
And Jesus knows
flush the rest
you
of
just
it.
hit an 8-ball out in the parking lot. I said, we're going to do this, and you're going to mean it, and then we need to do it again later. We'll do it again later, but you fix and do this, and he did. But, man, that's just to some degree – Sandy, when you know you got a person that's heart's broken and they're right, man, they're coming to God, Jesus, for real.
Yeah.
And there's something to say. I've got my own persecution you'll get to in a little bit, but there's something to say about it. That dude has fought harder than possibly we have to some degree.
This is a nightmare.
Someone called for a nightmare?
Hang on. That's your nightmare? Some roof damage? I'm a professional. I deal with real nightmares. You just need to sing the State Farm jingle.
State Farm jingle?
Do it!
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm can help with your claim. We're here when you need us.
Great. Can you get rid of it?
Ooh, we getting rid of. Wait.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's the one golf tournament everyone circles on their calendar. Serious and casual golfers alike love to play in the 32nd Annual First Financial Bank Share Golf Tournament, September 27th and 28th. 2 courses over 2 days. The Lions Club Municipal Course and the award-winning Mystic Creek Golf Course. Registrations are open now and a number of sponsorships are still available. Proceeds from the tournament benefit the South Arkansas Regional Hospital Foundation. For more information on the 32nd Annual First Financial Bank Share Golf Tournament or to register online, go to sharefoundation.com. You've waited all year. Don't miss it.
And if you'll do that, and it's something about God and Jesus, and it's biblical, if you'll confess your sins, that dude will start coming at you with what he's really done. And it's a life changer. But for some reason, we've got a lot of preachers in this world that can't, either they I get it, maybe they never dipped their toe in that, but they got something, man, they could come with. But they just going to call it, oh, yeah, I remember when I used to fight that sin, but they never mention anything specific.
Yeah. Let me tell you what you never pray. Don't ever pray this. Lord, show me the ugly that other people see in me. Don't do that. That, you want to get humbled? That's the quickest way. And I made that mistake, and let me just tell you, I saw all of the ugly that other people saw in me. And I realized that the traditional church and the way we always did it wasn't satisfying. My favorite scripture, John 9:4. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day, for night cometh when no man can work. And the reason that is because to me that speaks passion. If you're going to do what that scripture says, you must be passionate about whatever that is. Whether it's digging ditches, chunking watermelons, picking up dead chickens. If that's what you're going to do it with passion.
That's right.
And the same comes with our walk with Christ. Do it with passion. You know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it with passion.
That's right.
Let's get back to Shreveport. So y'all are doing these, I want to say buying busts, but you're getting these girls
undercover bus.
Yeah. You've got all these things going. So what happens to you in your personal career
during this time?
During that time.
So I ran that task force for 9-10 years, and then. Man, dude, and I didn't know what I was. I have real PTSD problems now. I'm on some medication, even though I'm embarrassed to say that, and that's just what it is. That's out there, okay? That's out there. Yeah. But, man, if you just knew the stuff I was seeing, it was just so,
I can't imagine.
Bad. I'm just saying it. So it's in my head.
You can't unsee it.
Up. It starts popping up. I do the late night screaming and so on. Now my wife has to wake me up. But so it was time for me to start. Even at that time, well, I tell you, I broke down. It wasn't the human trafficking, even though, man, those were just getting so horrible. But we got to a point where we could call Cassie out. We'd have the 14-year-old girl on a bed. Just sitting there for the interviews. 'Cause you're in a motel room, and there'd be a lot of men in the room, if any women. And I got to where I could call Cassie, man, and Cassie would be there, and things would just get so much better. But so we were getting really good at the human trafficking, and I got this case on this ECI, and I had identified everybody. I took it to the United States Attorney's Office. they declined to prosecute it. But anyway, so I'm seeing I go on to a child porn case, arrest a guy. I have to look at the things so that I can come for the initial appearance. If the initial appearance, the United States Attorney's Office is suggestion that we hold him in jail for threat to community. And so to be a threat community, I need to describe what
you saw.
Videos are. And so usually they have me do 3. And I worked with the United States Attorney, same guy all the time, great guy, Earl Campbell. And he said, all right, Chris, give me number 1. And I gave him number 1, man. And I'd been doing this for a minute, and something inside me starts changing. And I'm like, I cannot believe I'm describing what I'm describing to people.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, wow, this is going on while I'm describing, like kind of an out-of-body experience. And my head starts hurting so bad, and I'm prone to migraines. And I'm like, oh, I ain't feeling good. And then Earl says, all right, give us number 2. And I start, and, man, I'm just not feeling good, and I'm kind of pounding and he goes, what's wrong? And I said, man, Earl, I don't know that I can describe this anymore. I don't even know if I can say this. And I'd worked for the same United States Magistrate, Judge Hornsby, for a long time. And he said, man, Chris, you okay? And I said, man, Judge, I don't know. I just kind of feel like I don't feel good. And he's like, yeah, well, that's enough for today. That one was enough. And so we went on, but I knew something was changing. So about the same time, a supervisor position that there's one desk, if you will, it's Shreveport, comes open. The United States or the office in New Orleans, man, I'm telling you, whatever they thought later on for politics, they were like, man, you'd be a good candidate for it, Chris. We think you could help some new agents. I'd been a trading agent for many agents, know about a lot of other things, SWAT team, firearm instructors, how to do big ops, how to do big RICO cases, blah, blah, blah. And so I put in for it, and I got it. And that was like right at end of 2019, 2020. And then y'all know, so this does do a little bit political, but this is what happened, even though I'm going to tell you all about God and Jesus. But so 2020, Trump loses, Biden wins. And Biden just comes in with all of these anti-Christian, all of this crazy woke, which is anti-Christian, just boom, mandates and stuff. And so I was a supervisor, and I always had a Bible on my desk, But so I start getting contacts from headquarters through assistant United States attorney. I'm sorry, not a United States attorney. They call them ASACs, an assistant special agent in charge. And so this guy, Jeff Veltri, and I'm going to tell you, this will add corroboration to my story, even though I know y'all believe me. But I want everybody to believe me, because some people go conspiracy theory. This is not. But so Jeff Veltri, and I'm going to speed ahead, but I'm going to come back, I promise you. Jeff Veltri, Trump takes office this last time in January, of course. 1st of February, he told about 8. Jeff Veltri was one of them. He said, dude, you either retire or I'm firing you right now, because he's trying to clean up the swamp. Now, he don't know how bad it is, and that hadn't fixed it. But Jeff Veltri's the one that told me that I was fired and take my Bible off my desk and get out of here.
Yeah.
But so you can read that in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And they said that, they were pointing it more toward Trump's a horrible guy because he made Jeff Veltri leave. Jeff Veltri was horrible. But anyway, so they tell me to take my Bible off my desk because, there's and this is true, there's people in the office that aren't Christians. So, Chris, therefore, you're bullying people by having this Bible under my desk. Well, so then that boomer is when I woke up. I still wasn't woke up. God had done told me before then, Sandy, to start men of courage in Webster Parish, and I said no. I said, no, I'm not doing it. And I tell my men all the time, I said, they're like, hey, Chris, how come God talks to you? And he don't talk to me like I'm talking to you, but he talks right here, clear as a bell, And I wished he would talk to me like this, but he said, why, what? I said, dude, yeah. You tell him no all the time. See if this ain't familiar, Sandy. You tell him no all the time. He'll quit talking to you. I mean, he's got plenty of people to talk to.
Yeah.
But you tell him yes one time, that dude will light you up, man, because the harvest really is plentiful and the workers really are few.
That's right.
So you tell him yeah, and he'll start talking to you. So and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to finish my career. I'm going to get y'all country boys will love this. I'm going to get my mailbox check.
Yeah.
You heard that? But I'm going to get that mailbox check.
Yeah.
I'm done, But anyway, so I built my forever home, and I'll tell you about that. That was horrible, me calling it forever home. But anyway, so I said, but man, God woke me up like he did Paul when he blinded him to some degree.
Okay.
And he said, son, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not talking about losing salvation, Sandy, but it was bad the way he said, you better not take that Bible off your desk. And I'm like, okay. And they even had the old country boys. What are they telling me? Chris, 2 years. Leave that Bible. Take that Bible off your desk. Get that mailbox check. Then you can do what you want, right?
Yeah, might as well take the mark of the beast.
The comfortable Christian. Thank you, Boomer. Yeah, but seriously.
Yeah.
So they're talking. So they said, I said, man, I can't do that. So then they come to me about Billy's Gym, CrossFit Gym. They said, man, you can work out at any gym you want.
Oh no,
any gym you want.
They didn't want you to.
Don't work out at this gym.
Talking to your personal life.
This gym talks about Jesus, and it's mixing in the FBI and Jesus, and we don't want that. That's the call I got. I said, man, brother, there ain't another gym I'm going to work out at. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. I think I'm golden. I'm 2 years from retirement.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I never had a bad file review. They were exceptional file reviews. I've done it, man. I've put the dudes in jail. I think I'm doing it all. And I think to some degree I was doing a really great job. And I've got paper that'll show that. But I didn't know things were changing this harsh, man. So they asked me to put up a bunch of LGBTQ, RSAD posters around the office that our taxpayer money paid for. And I said, man, I ain't putting this up for LGBTQ month. And I said, I'm not putting this up. So then the last thing was they had a guy from headquarters call me. This is where Trump don't know, man. This guy's name's Brian Vondran. He's still an assistant director, just like Dan Bongino is, right under Cash Patel. This is the guy that called me. He calls me and he says, hey, Chris, there's a transgender in Shreveport that meets all our requirements. Done flipped over, had the surgery, got on military time, blah, blah, blah. We need a transgender in the FBI so bad. We need one to fulfill our mission, to say that we got one. You know what I'm saying? Because we're pushing all this stuff. And I said, man, Dan, I said, you know me, man. That's not, he gets mad. He says, oh, here we go about religion. I said, no. I said, first of all, I didn't quit that religion. It's about Jesus to me.
Yeah.
I said, but listen. I said, man, you know this. This is one of them dudes, 3 years as an agent, just went into supervision, just moved up to get to a big-time position. Didn't really work cases and all that kind of stuff, but never been in a room.
He's a bureaucrat.
Never been in a room, had to eliminate a threat, do anything like this. And he says, hey, man, you know, I need you to do this. And I said, well, here's the way I'm going to come at you. I said, man, I've been in a room before and something bad happened really quick, and you have to eliminate a threat, or you have to do something really quick, something bad. You have to make a decision. You're already behind the 8 ball. The bad guy, he knows what he's doing. I said, I'm not going in a room like that with a guy that don't even know if he's man or woman. And in business, government, business, if you will, you still got to do some talking even if you don't agree. All I heard was click. March 3rd, 4th, 2021. I was at CrossFit Gym, and they do their devotions on the Facebook, so everybody can see them, you know. And man, that's the day I said, you know what, y'all. Me and Mark Rody's been talking forever about Men of Courage being in Webster Parish and being at Minden. And I'm talking about on my own time, but I'm going to do Webster Parish Men of Courage. I'm going to start it. We're going to get it going. March the 9th, they call me in the office. But even this small, they didn't even call me and say, hey, we got problems. We need to talk, blah, blah, blah. They called me to tell me we needed to have a talk about a shooting that had happened down in Alexandria. And it was all bad stuff. But, well, hey, we need to come in. You need to talk about this. I'll be there in the morning because some guys were flying in and stuff. I'm like, okay. So they lied about just like, hey, Chris, just like I wasn't going to come. You just come. I mean, I'm talking about small, but still. So as soon as I get there, I knew there was a bunch of guys in my office. One of them, the Jeff Veltry, sitting in your chair. Even though that's small, but it's not. Like, dude. Yeah. But he immediately says, Chris, you got your badge on you? I go, yes, sir. And you got your gun on you? Yes, sir. But I'm like, man, I ain't done nothing. So he reads me the riot act, and he says some things I've done, like I've been lying on my time, because when I was at that gym, I was doing Jesus and I wasn't working out, even though the Jesus was just 10 minutes. And FBI agents don't have time like that, man. We don't clock in, clock out. We work all the time. You don't have a regular lunch time. It don't go like that. But anyway, so they said I'd been a bully as a supervisor. They said that I had committed a felony by committed a game law in Louisiana because they had some photos of me and some buddies, no joke, at a deer camp. And yeah, there were 6 deer behind us, but I didn't kill all those deer.
Oh my Lord!
That's all they had. I had never talked to an FBI. I mean, a game warden. No, I didn't have any tickets. I hadn't committed a game law. So but they needed that to get my security clearance from me. Because if they charged a felony, my security clearance went away, and it went away immediately. And I've never gotten it back. And that hurts you in the trying to get another job like crazy. And I've never gotten it back, even though, Trump and all that. We can talk about that later. But so, but the last thing he did to me, he said, man, I need you to pack this office up and get out. Well, I'd been in that office for a long time. And I was like, man, brother, first of all, I'm sick. I'm not feeling good. I had to tell my legs to move that day. They had me escorted out like I was a criminal and taken to my house. But anyway, so I said, man, I don't even know where I'd start packing up this office. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. And this was the Bible that my mama gave me when I was 19 years old. I joined the Army at 17. Mama had to sign me in. When I was 19 is when I went to my Iraq, to the Gulf War, and she handed me a Bible, and she had wrote something in it, and it was a zip-up little Bible, and that was the one I kept on the desk. And he said, well, I tell you what, you're gonna take this Bible with you. And I did take that Bible with me. There was a part of but I took the Bible with me, and they suspended me for about a month with pay, and then took the pay away. And about a year later, after the lawyers and all look at it, right before I get my retirement, they fired me. Before I get my retirement. So this is where it hurts financially too, forever. So you got to get your 20 years in to get your mailbox money coming. Well, but I also could have took my 6 years military time. If you get your 20 years in and you can add it, you get 26 years mailbox money. My wife's
that really makes a difference. Yeah,
overtime, millions of dollars. Of course. And then so at the time, I had built this beautiful home, Sandy, and 5 acres, beautiful brick home. And I was calling it my forever home. And so I go home. Man, that day I got there, they took my phone from me. I didn't have a way to communicate with my wife except I had a laptop at the house. I emailed Wendy, my wife, an email and said, hey, baby, I ain't feeling good. I'm at the house. My phone's off, even though I didn't have it. I didn't know what to tell her. Man, you talking about a God thing. About 45 minutes later, I heard the door open up. And my wife came in. She goes, I know something bad has happened. I could just feel it.
Yeah.
And so I tell her, and man, she just never left my side. We've just fought through this the whole time because financially we're fixing to. I mean, we went to nothing.
Yes.
Even worse than nothing. I went to the pawn shop for the first time ever.
Yeah.
And when I seen the guy at the pawn shop and I had some stuff, he's like, man, are you sure you want to? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I can't pay a bill for the first time. And he goes, okay, well, we'll put you on a plan. I go, no plan. How much money can you give me, man? I got to pay a bill. So she goes like, what are we going to do, baby? And I'm like, well, so I had been going out on the back porch and laying down like in the Bible because, man, I'm hurting. And I've been saying, God, please give me my job back. Please give me my job back. And and then he starts talking to me, and he starts talking to me really hard, Cindy. And he says, son, yeah, I ain't giving you that job back. That job's not coming back. You need to start doing some stuff for me. And he goes, because I was on the back part. He goes, you back here going, I'll do whatever. I said, I am. He said, we're going to see right now this forever home that I'm mad at you about. It's not your forever home, son. Your forever home's in heaven. This is not your forever home. And I get that saying. But I'm done. Me personally, I'm done with that saying. He said, stop. I said, all right, that's it. He goes, I want you to sell this home, and I want you to sell it now. And let's see from that whether you'll do that. And then we'll see about the next step. And I said, all right.
Rich young ruler.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I totally, for the term forever home, that doesn't make it bad. But it was your mindset.
It was my mindset.
Your mindset is, this is my forever home.
This is my forever home. I'm done. Same as the mailbox check. I'm done, right? I'm done. And the guy's like, you ain't done. You ain't even started for me, man. But anyway, back to getting outside the walls of church, son. You ain't even got outside the walls of church. So put up a sign. The house sold really, really quick. My wife says, Chris, what we going to do? Man, I ain't never even camped in an RV before. And I went down to Camper World in Bossier, and I looked at 3 of them, and I said, I'll take that one. And we had a little bit of land, family land out, and we lived in that RV. God kept us in there for 3 years. And about 6 months ago, thank God Almighty, I was able to get back into a house. Me and two of my kids. I got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. Of course, they just went through this 3-year period. They're 15, 13 now. They went through that time with us in that RV, man. And we did never not have how you like that Cotton Valley saving. Huh?
Yeah,
we never not have the macaroni and cheese, but that's what we had was the macaroni and cheese, man. For a while, I had to get my bills to nothing so I could do this Men of Courage, man.
Yeah.
Well, and nothing that you're saying surprises me, and there will be people who would say, "Man, you tell me about a loving God, that's harsh." No, what was harsh is you had already made up your mind, and I'm just saying you. This goes for Boomer, it goes for me. We make up our minds what we're going to do, and we try to fit God in it.
Yeah, try to get His blessing.
Where God's like, that's not how this works.
Right, that's right.
I decide what you're going to do. You try to fit in it.
Yep.
And when we get that mindset, then the Lord has to
spank us.
And I'm living it now. I'm living it right this moment.
I'm sorry about that, Sandy.
No, I'm not.
But I'll tell you what it does. It refines you, and you draw closer to God. And if anything, He's told me this. He said, Chris, if I do anything to you that makes you draw close to me, it's good.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's good.
That's right. So in the meantime, you're not getting that job back, but you've still been trying to appeal to get your retirement, your pension, right?
Yeah, I've been so, man, I put it out to just about everybody I know. I have a letter wrote that I'm begging people to get to their congressman. I love y'all's Tom Cotton. He's, and I only know him from the TV, but he seems like a really great guy. I sent you that letter, but I've redone it since then, Sandy, and I've got another one I'm sending out, or it's just re-edited, if you will. And I put what I ended up doing. I went back and put it. I've got a lot of letters from supervisors, past supervisors, a lot of letters from past special agents that I work with, and just regular employees too. And they wrote a lot of letters saying, "Man, this was wrong. This was messed up. This is who Chris Plancy is." And so I put a lot of that into the letter. And I've been, Mike Johnson is my guy that's over us. He's the Speaker of the House right now.
Yep.
He hadn't talked to me, but man, there's 100 letters went to him. Cash Patel has got the letters. I don't know that Cash is going to fix it, but man, I've been trying to do what I can do to get reinstated so that I could immediately retire and at least get my retirement.
Yeah, for the
and
time.
then that would just help me in this ministry. And I know our God owns 1,000 cows on 1,000 hills, and He can do whatever He wants, and He will do it.
Yes, He will.
But it just would help me financially a lot. And what really got me going on this, I had about quit on it again, but Trump got with those military guys that had gotten fired for not taking the shot, and he reinstated them with time served.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, man, if he would do that, if I could get that to him somehow, I know, and I know I cannot imagine how much he's got going on.
Yeah.
But if he could get this story somehow, but I know, there's people that could get him this story, or they can make the decision themselves without getting him the story, So I have been appealing for that kind of help, Sandy. I have been.
Well, it just takes the right person to hear it.
It does. I think so.
That's the hinge-pin.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say to whom, but Chris and I talked on the phone, and I did make a couple of phone calls to some people I know in D.C. And at first I got the obligatory, let me look in that. Let me check on that. And I'm one of those guys that if you tell me I'm going to check on it, I'm going to check on you.
Yeah. That's about the only, you got to do that.
I'm going to check on you to see if you're checking on it. And so I've reached back out and, man, no, you know what? It's just slipped in my mind. But man, you calling me has reminded me, and I'll call him again.
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
And I don't know if anything will come of it. I don't I'm nobody. I grew up on a red dirt road in Shelby County, Texas. I tell people all the time, this is a very thin veneer that you see out here. I can go from this to ain't can't taters real quick. Okay,
ain't can't taters. I like that one, man.
But it's a real dilemma that you're facing and fighting, and man, our hearts and prayers go to you and your family.
Thank you.
And of course, because people that we know, and we know people that you know, and we did our own checking on you. And I'll tell our audience real quick. I called some people I know who are in the FBI. I know some people who are at Quantico.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people who are at some government agencies that don't have initials. Those kind of guys. And I called every one of them. I said, "What do you tell me about this guy?" Every single person, good guy.
Thank you.
Salt of the earth.
Thank you.
One guy said, "If I'm kicking in a door, I want him behind me."
Mm-hmm.
And because what I didn't want to do was get on the podcast and you tell this real sappy story, and then somebody comes back around and says, "Man, that dude's a snake." He ran up $300,000 worth of debt over at the Horseshoe.
Right. He was getting. I say that all the time, man. I'm scared to death. I've always been scared to death. It hates me. It haunts me, even though that I was the guy stealing the meth out of the vault or something.
Right.
Man, it was not that. I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, I know they can dot their I's and cross their T's, but I'm telling you, they made it up, man. It's not good, Sandy.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
And I would think that and I gave you one news article with Jeff Felcher, but there's more, but I would think with what you know about on the news nowadays, man, I mean, I know you weren't there with me. You can't say, no, that happened for a fact, but I would think, I ain't making this out of thin air, so.
No, and again, several of the people I talked to, not all of them, but several were like, "Man, if we weren't on the phone, I could tell you what I really think of this, but I can't, and I was like, I get it. But I know them well enough. I know what they think.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know what's going on in their head. Anyway, that's
Can I tell you about Webster Parish Men of Courage?
Absolutely.
Is this a decent time?
This is the time. Yes.
Okay. So look, man. So here's what happened though. So I had right before all that happened, I had gathered together about 15 of my closest Christian brothers, and I was still in that house, and wife cooked gumbo, and I said, "Man, this is what we want to do," and I laid out my vision that God gave me about Men of Courage. These guys just jumped on it instantly and like, "Dude, I wanted this part of it. I want this part of it. We got, we'll start this." Da-da-da. I had a guy call me the next week, said, "I know it's a small amount, but it's huge, and it's not a small amount," because he said, "Chris, I just went to a bank and I opened up the Webster Parish Men of Courage bank account, and there's $3,000 in it. You need to start Men of Courage." So I said, "All right, let's." And man, so here's what we do. The gist of what we do is everything is in the public. It's outward, out of the church walls, even though we push everybody toward the traditional church. 1 month, one night of the month, it's always on the third Thursday of the month. It's always at the Civic Center in Minden, Louisiana, downtown on neutral ground.
Yeah.
Neither side of the track, man. This is the literal center of town. So we'll have every denomination you can think of represented, and we feed every man that comes for free. That's kind of like one of our draws. We're gonna have somebody sing about Jesus, and then we're gonna have somebody talk about Jesus. But 1 month it'll be a Baptist, 1 month it'll be a Pentecost, 1 month it's gonna be an Assembly of God, 1 month it's gonna be whatever, man. Because we just talk about Jesus. Is what we're going to do. We're going to do Jesus. From that, Women of Courage got started in Webster Parish. They got their own. They're under our umbrella, if you will, but they do their own things. When we started, this month is actually Family of Courage, but so often we'll have a Family of Courage and bring everybody in for the month. This is probably going to make you smile, but there's this in Cotton Valley, believe it or not, we have this unbelievable band called the Cox Family. They're going to be singing for us. At this Family of Courage. Even at this Family of Courage. So this month we'll do potluck, like a no-joke community-wide potluck. Everybody's welcome. It'll be more. We've done it before. It'll be more food than anybody group can eat. But so what do we do from that? Well, from that, first thing we started doing was giving out just Bibles for free to anybody who wants one. If you believe as a Christian that the Bible is the living Word of God, and then what's in that? Is you read about salvation, you understand salvation, you know who God is, you know who Jesus is. You should be handing these things out like crazy. So, but we don't just hand them out; we engrave them with their names on them. And I've had that change people's lives when they get that Bible. I had a woman one time run her finger across it, and she said, "Oh, Chris,
this is real."
She said, "You can talk to me about Jesus all you want now," because she was one that didn't want to talk, but we had made that personal, Anyway, so at our events, people come to know Christ. They ask Jesus to be Lord and Savior. We try to push them to a church after that, even though some ask us to baptize them. We go into this little creek called Dorcheat. And we baptize them in Dorcheat. We've done a bunch of them that way. And then we try to get them to a traditional church family. I say that so much because I get fussed at a lot by preachers about this. But anyway, so from that, a veteran comes to me 6 months in and says, Chris, man, this dude had shrapnel from Vietnam still. He had been fighting it, the VA in Shreveport, leg stuff is forever, right? Since, proverbial 68. And he said, man, they finally going to have to take this leg off. And he goes, man, I don't got a wheelchair ramp. And I was like, brother, he goes, would you think about doing a wheelchair ramp? I mean, you can't say no to that, right?
Right.
I don't have any budget. This is when COVID happens. Price of lumber goes up 300%. And I got no money. And I'm like, dude, we're doing you a wheelchair ramp. We did. That was our first one. That man has since passed away. That was our first wheelchair ramp. That year we may have done about 15. The next year we did 43. The next year we did 45. This year we're on 24. We did that one today. We're constantly in the community, whether it be a barbecue contest or we'll do a movie night out, just put a big screen up downtown. We're trying to do a draw to get people there to tell them about Jesus. If somebody does a car show, we're going to have a booth there giving out free Bibles, telling people about Jesus. We do crosswalks now, old school crosswalks, especially on Easter Friday. We love to do it on Good Friday. We circle the town all day long on Good Friday, kind of like the reverse of Nehemiah.
Y'all going to build walls?
Building the walls. We're building up the walls. Building up the walls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By us doing the crosswalk, we go into businesses and we pray for them all the time, man. You wouldn't believe the people that don't get prayed for no more.
Yeah.
And when you come in, you go, hey, man, I'd just like to pray with you today. You got anything? The tears will start flowing. Nobody's praying for them no more. Nobody's praying, period. And then back to the Christ Fit. I said, Billy, man, I feel like I'm supposed to do a little Christ Fit over here. Billy said, you do anything you want. He's got a big-time business. He's got 3 of these now. And he says, no franchise fees, nothing. So on Tuesdays and Thursday night at the Presbyterian Church allows me to use their gym because it's open to anybody. And we do a Christ Fit class from like 5:30 to 7. We do a prayer, we do a devotion, and then we work out together. And people have come in there to work out, find out about Jesus, and accept Him to be Lord and Savior.
They just coming to work out. They weren't coming to Christ Fit.
Just coming to work out. But another thing that happens is that those people become a true family, man. A true Christian family, even though they all go to different churches.
Sure.
The guys at my ramp, man, I just told you the numbers, but usually there's about 20 guys there, 10 different churches, 6 different denominations. They are a true family when they're doing that. They're a family, period, but that's their deal. They'll be calling, man, where's the ramp this week? Where's the ramp this week? I mean, it's crazy, brother.
That's great. That is
so
great.
We're just constantly out in the public doing Jesus, y'all. Doing Jesus.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Man, it's, of course, I had the benefit of knowing your story. And I'll tell, I'm literally just scrolling through, I don't remember if it was TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, what. Just watching reels. And I see a little short. Chris is on it. And another
he's describing you. Little short guy.
Yeah.
No, it's called a short.
I'm not tall. I am not tall, though.
We're vertically challenged.
Yes, we are vertically challenged.
Those reels are called shorts.
Yeah.
And so, I'm watching, and Chris is there, and there's a dude that makes him look tiny.
Yeah.
Sitting across from him on the other side. And I mean, it's a big old dude, big old tattoos, and and I hear him talking to this guy about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the other guy more than I'm watching Chris, and he's soaking it in, man. He's like, wait a minute, and so I was like, okay, I got to find out more about this guy. So I start looking at the comments, and somebody says, Chris Plants, he's my favorite. Type in Chris Plants. Did you know there's an actor named Chris Plants? And he's who comes up first on Google. And so I'm like, Chris Plants podcast. Well, I found another podcast. And it wasn't that one, but it was another one. So I watch it. And I'm like, wait a minute, did he just say Bozier? And because I'm passively watching it, right? I rewind it. And I'm like,
He just said Minden. Okay, this guy's from around, he's around the area. And so then I hear him talking about Men of Courage. I go to the Men of Courage website. There's a link says, want to talk to Chris? Click here. I do. 4 or 5 days later, I get an email back, and it's like, hey, if you want to talk to Chris, you need to go here.
Yeah.
Well, it takes me back to that same link.
Okay.
And I don't remember how, but this goes on for several days, and I'm just trying to find him. And finally, I find an email address or something. I send it to him. I think it was an email, and I get a text, and it was like, "Hey, this is Chris Plants. Do you can you talk?" I was like, "Absolutely." So he calls me. Man, we spent 45 minutes on the phone.
It's pretty easy to do with Sandy Boomer.
Yeah, it is.
He's not scared to tell a story.
No, he will tell a story. A yarn.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're
definitely.
good, though. They are good.
Definitely. I told him when we were on the phone, man, you got a couple minutes for him to brag about Jesus? He said, brother, you had me at Jesus.
Yeah. Amen. You got me at Jesus.
Man, we wish you the very best.
Oh,
we
are
so
Thank you
happy
for your help too, Sandy. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I haven't done anything.
No.
So,
You have.
But
you tried.
We're trying. And
you said yes to God too, Sandy. That's a big deal, man. Guys will do that all the time to me, and I know what they mean. Hey, man, this is all God. You said yes to God, because there's a whole bunch of men that are saying no. Isaiah 6:8 is one of our huge ones, man. I used to have it on my dog tags when I was in the Army. But God said, who will go for us? Who will go forth for us? And Isaiah said, here am I.
Yeah.
Send me. And that's how I try to wake up every morning. God, what do you want me to do today? Where am I going for you today? What am I doing for you today? But I'm back to the men. Man, I'm telling you, Christians have gotten too comfortable, just way too comfortable.
Yep.
And they say no to him every day, man, every day.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So your website, if somebody wants to check it out.
Yeah, it's www.webstermenofcourage.org. There's probably about 12 chapters now. We're all independent. I love them all, but we don't have any rules, and there's no franchise fees going back from forth to each other. We try to say it this way: take what we're doing and steal it, and go out and make it better.
Yeah.
Go out and make it better. So there's some other cities that are definitely jumping on board. Texarkana has one now, and we're just trying to really, really, truly complete the Great Commission out in the world, out where the harvest is.
Yes.
Yeah. Man,
hard enough.
I think what you're doing is fabulous. We appreciate you, brother.
Oh, thank you. I
appreciate you being
Sandy.
here.
I appreciate you, Boomer.
You too, man.
I know it was a different podcast this week, and we appreciate those of you who stuck through here and learned a little. If I could say anything, keep lifting our brother up.
Thank you.
Keep lifting him up. Pray that hedge of protection about him, because let me tell you something, and I believe this with all my heart. The Bible says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. And people say, oh, that Washington, D.C., that's not a high place. To me, when it says spiritual wickedness in high places, it's in the church. And you've heard him say it several times. I get fussed at by preachers. I get griped at by preachers. I get told off by preachers. That's spiritual wickedness in high places. So pray a hedge about our brother. And,
Thank you.
And that the Lord will keep using him, and also let him open his eyes and see that they're more for us than against us.
Amen.
That's
good.
That's one of my
Sandy.
favorites.
That's one I definitely falter on. Thank you. Yeah,
there's more for us than there are against us.
Yep,
and I may not see them.
No, that's good.
But they're
Sandy.
there.
You strengthened me with that.
They're there. Well, that's going to be it for us this week. We will be back next week with more of Off the Back Porch. Until then, God bless.